What I'm going to be talking with you about today is this essential system for thriving in the AI era. What do I mean by a system? It's not just a technology or productivity system. It's a system for becoming an AI enhanced professional. And what I mean by that is when you're really using AI, it allows you to become competent, productive. This system should allow you to learn and adapt because we're moving into a different era of work now. It's not just about the technology here. We're going to be talking very much about how this is transforming the world of work. This era that we're moving into is as different, like using AI, being an AI enhanced professional is as different as it is using power tools to build a house than it was using manual tools. But that it doesn't just stop there. As you learn AI and use it more and more, it's more like this. It's the difference between becoming a director of a team of people building a house with power tools as it was using manual tools yourself to build a house. But it doesn't even stop there. As you start to learn these tools more and more, and then start to learn how to direct and orchestrate AI, you start to get to the point where you're envisioning new products, new services, new ways of working. You're using AI to innovate and create. And so you become somebody who's capable of designing new things, not having to become an architect or having to become more intelligent or work harder. With your given domain expertise and given skill set, you're learning to leverage these tools and use AI to enhance your cognitive thinking, to enhance the abilities that you have to work more collaboratively as a team, to reduce the amount of load it takes for you to do things. And so you move up these stages. And that's what we're talking about today, essentially, is how to move up these levels in your career. And of course, you're going to be learning skills and understanding the technology, but it's about becoming more valuable every day as you learn these things, getting ever increasing job security and becoming highly sought after. The people who really understand this and learn how to get here, which doesn't take that long, we're still so early in the game, they are very much in demand. And there's this increasing divide between the people who are staying still and the people who are moving up this ladder. I'm Jeff Baker. I'm an AI adoption consultant, and I come at this from both the career and the technology perspective. I was a professional career consultant for over 10 years. I used to own a software development company. I founded 5 businesses. I've been using AI strategically since 2023. So I combine these worlds of people and technology in business. So that's how I'm going to be approaching this talk and addressing AI in general. So 2 years ago, I realized that AI was going to completely change how we worked. And so I went deep into learning everything I could about it. And I started teaching AI to my career coaching clients, building systems to make it easy for them to use and then easy for them to learn and work with and keep moving up the levels of AI literacy. And so now I work with companies helping them level up their teams so that they can not just compete in the AI era, really thrive. Okay, so that's me. So let's dive into what it means to become an AI empowered professional, which is about good systems, not about changing who you are. Here's a system that people are using. Most people are using this, the free version of ChatGPT. Is it a good system for using AI? How would you know? To contrast this, let's take a look at a system that you do know and use, and that's a system for creating meals. If I gave you this system, is this a good system for creating meals? And the answer is it's a totally fine system for creating toast and for warming things up. But if you were trying to do this, if you're trying to create an amazing, delicious Thanksgiving dinner for 24 people and you had this system, you're not going to feel good. This is going to be painful, almost impossible to do this. It's going to be stressful. You're going to feel overwhelmed, highly burdened, like you just can't do it. However, if you built yourself this system, a commercial kitchen with a team of specialists, now if I said to you, okay, can you create this Thanksgiving dinner for 24 people? Hell yeah. It's laughably easy, right? You're underutilized. You could do much more than just create this meal for 24 people when you have a system like this. And when you have a system like this, think about what your job is. Your job is no longer to be in the kitchen hustling, getting all the work done to get this meal on the table in time. You're evolving in your role into somebody who's directing, talking to the people who are going to be eating the food and taking special orders and figuring out what other kind of meals could we create. You actually evolve your thinking because you're not in the kitchen just hustling all the time. With this system, you're doing all the work yourself. And in your job, if you're trying to use AI to do high quality work and you're just using ChatGPT, then it's like trying to cook that Thanksgiving dinner with a kitchen like this. Like, it's just crazy. Most people are stuck here because this is what we're presented with. When we're given AI, we're presented with this text box, which emulates this text box. So people use it like this text box, just like Google, like a Google search for getting answers. And if you think about how we use Google, we enter a few keywords. You enter too many keywords and you're not going to get any results. So you enter a few keywords, you get the results, and you work with what you got. But that's not how AI works at all. It's not how to be productive. So in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you how to go from this to this in the world of AI, making you capable of doing amazing work in much less time and with much less stress, and then how to evolve beyond doing the work to becoming a director and then becoming someone who can envision and move on in their career as well. How we're going to get there, this is the system here. We'll get to that. But before we get there, we've got to talk about three things first. The 6 levels of AI literacy, like we need to move up in our understanding of AI in order to be able to use it in these effective ways. So we'll talk about the 6 levels of that. The 4 stages of professional evolution that then happens. As you move up these levels of AI literacy, you evolve in your career, in your value, in your competence. So we'll talk about those 4 stages of evolution that you go through as you move up the levels of AI literacy. And then before we talk about the system, we're going to talk about the 5 ways that normal people can use AI. So not data scientists, software developers, all that kind of stuff, but people who use computers and apps on a regular basis. How we can use AI, because those ways that we can use AI, if you're not aware of them, you're not using them. And if you're not aware of them, then there's no need for a system that utilizes those. So we'll talk about what they are and how they fit into this system. And then we'll just have a chat at the end. Okay, we're going to use Jane here from marketing as an example as we go through these 6 levels of AI literacy. So let's jump in. AI literacy level 1 is where you're using AI like a Google replacement. So giving it simple prompts that are maybe 1 to 2 sentences long, asking questions, and getting AI to do simple tasks like summarize an email or generate some content. When Jane was at this level, she was asking AI, give me 10 blog post ideas or make this email sound more professional. Not bad, but she's still doing 95% of the work herself. And the results that she's producing with AI are pretty generic, nothing special. This is where 50% of people roughly are today. Level 2 is when you're learned to use AI as a real productivity tool. This is an amazing level. Like, you can do a lot with AI now. You can use it to code, to generate incredible images and videos. You can get it to listen in on your meetings and summarize the meeting notes and produce a list of action items. You can get it to write whole YouTube scripts. If you're in the marketing department and the product department gives you the brief on the new product and you've got to create a video, you can just give it the product brief and have it generate a script, and then you can edit that script. It gets you off that blank canvas. You can use it to do deep research. We could go on and on about all the different tools and capabilities of AI. So this is a pretty great level to get to, but it's also a bit of a trap because it's the old way of working where we're still doing all the work ourselves. So when Jane was at this level, she's using AI to analyze her competitors' social media strategies before creating her own, giving her new intel and new insights. She's using it to write YouTube scripts based on that product brief. She's generating images for Instagram for, say, like this new trail running challenge. She's not just prompting AI, she's learned to give it key information like her company's brand guidelines or examples of high quality work or her writing style. So the results she's getting aren't generic results anymore. She's getting high quality marketing assets. She's faster. She's more capable. She's producing much better work. She's a better worker, but she's still doing most of the work herself. 40% of knowledge workers are at this level and usually at the low end of this level. Level 3 then is where this big shift happens, where you realize that AI is not an app. It's not a tool. It's an intelligence. It's almost like a digital person that you can give it a role, you can give it instructions and then talk to it and use it as a cognitive enhancer, as a thinking partner, as a brainstorming partner to collaborate with, to solve complex problems, to create whole new strategies and guides and directions. You can even create digital personas of people like Steve Jobs or whoever, and then you can run ideas past them or get them to work together to crunch on ideas. It allows you to go way beyond just you doing the work and operating as a worker. And now you've got this strategic partner to work with. So when Jane was at this level, she stopped just giving commands to AI and started having conversations with it. So she would say something like, hey, I want to explore how we can capture the 25 to 35-year-old urban yoga market, and then start a dialogue and figure it out together. She is using AI to strategize and solve hard problems, to pressure test her ideas. And at this stage, she's created her first custom GPTs, her first custom assistants. She created Tracy here, which is her ideal customer avatar. So now, before sending out marketing materials or ad copy, she runs it by Tracy and finds out what kind of reactions might I get, what kind of questions or resistance or that kind of thing. Or she's created her on-brand copywriter. So now, rather than having to do all the writing herself, she can come up with the ideas of what she wants to write, give it to her on-brand copywriter, and it generates an outline or actually generates potential copy, and then she edits it. So it gets her off that blank canvas. She's 3 times faster writing than she was before. Or she writes something herself and she wants to make sure that it's on brand, so she gets the on-brand copywriter to edit it. So she's taken her first steps out of that worker role and into the AI boss role, orchestrating the work of AI rather than just doing all the work herself. Level 4, once you realize that you can create these digital people to be specialists in things and have knowledge and abilities that you just could never have yourself, sky's the limit. Like, you realize I can create a whole team of these specialist workers and get them to be doing tasks and helping me out throughout the day. So creating a co-CEO is something that I created, for example. And whenever I want to strategize and talk about where my business is going and what I want to do next, I bring up my CEO and we have a conversation. You can create guides. Like, I've got one for my website is on Squarespace. So I have my Squarespace guide. Whenever I'm working on it, if I can't figure out how to do something, I just say, hey, how do I do this? And it just tells me, and I get unstuck so fast. You can create specialists of all kinds, and you can start creating these multi-agent workflows where you've got these different specialists that can pass things from one to another. And it's an incredibly productive way of working. So when Jane was at this level, she's no longer just an AI user, she's an AI boss. So she has a team of specialist agents, and she doesn't just write the newsletter by herself anymore. She's got a research agent that does the research, researches what her target audience is most interested in this week. And then she feeds that information to the newsletter copywriter agent that comes up with several sections for her newsletter. And then she picks the best ones and then edits the final version. So her job is now to direct and validate the work of her AI team and help them improve. She's leveraged her expertise into a scalable, intelligent workforce. All right, level 5. At this level, you're using AI just everywhere. It's just part of like most of the things that you do. You're using AI dictation, you're using these different tools, you've got your agents, you've got your assistants, you've got some workflows. It's just part of what you do. And you've created for yourself a way of keeping this all organized. Because at this point, at stage 5, it can get overwhelming. You get dozens of custom GPTs, hundreds of prompts, lots of context files. Like, it starts to get overwhelming. So you need a system to bring it all together and make it simple. And I'm going to be sharing with you that system today. But when you've created an AI operating system, now you've got all these things together and you're highly efficient without the stress. When Jane got to this level, now she's seamlessly jumping between agents and tools and prompts and context files. She works in a flow state with AI naturally part of many workflows. She's much more productive and no overwhelm. And that's the key. You're not having to do more and hustle more. This AI operating system takes all the pressure off and frees you up. So everything she needs, her prompts, her agents, her brand guides, it's all in one place. There's zero friction. And when she has an idea, she can go from prototype to making it real in a couple hours rather than a couple days. And the quality of her work is 30% higher than she could do on her own. Okay, level 6, the final level, is where you're no longer working as an individual. You start operating at the level of organization, creating and sharing assets and tools, making the whole team better, and then making you better. So when Jane is at this level, she's using her marketing expertise to create agents and assistants that her whole team can use. She's running AI swarms, simulating the market to see the future. She's testing perhaps 100 different ads. She gets AI to generate 100 different ads, and then she runs those by 10 ideal customer avatars, and then gets another agent to collect the reactions and the impressions, finds out which ad's the winner before spending any money on ads. She's building shared AI assets that make her entire company smarter. And Jane's part of a team that's defining what the future of her company looks like. So they're imagining new products and services that they could provide and new markets that they can tap into. At this stage, the possibilities are endless. The bottleneck is not having enough people in the organization that are at this level. And that's why, when I was saying at the beginning, when you get to level 6, you become super valuable and needed by the organization. Okay, so think about where you are at this sort of levels of AI literacy now. Okay, so we've talked about the 6 levels of AI literacy. So now, as you start to move up in these levels and gain this knowledge and experience, your career evolves. The first stage of professional evolution is where you're an enhanced worker. You're an AI enhanced worker, 30% more effective, 30% higher quality work within the first 30 days, usually, of really using AI effectively. So that's a great place to be, but you're still a worker at that stage. Level 2, when you're using AI as a thinking partner and creating your team, you move into the level of being an AI boss. And this is where you're able to create these assistants that can do things that might have taken you a half hour to do on your own. And whenever you use them, zap, you get this done. So you're much more effective. And because you can design these teammates to do work that you perhaps aren't very good at, it can produce higher quality work as well. So you're orchestrating. This is the point too where you've got agents and automations, and that's where the massive leverage happens. If you create, like, for example, I've got an automation when a new business client signs up for a free consult with me. I have this agent that will look at the email address, pull out the company URL, and then go and research that company and come back with a 4-page executive brief on their target markets, who are the major people in the organization, what are the latest things that they're working on, their social media, and it emails that to me. I used to have to do that myself, and it would take me at least an hour, and it was hard to come up with a good result. This does it within a minute after them signing up for their free consult. I've got it. So that's a whole hour I save every time someone signs up for a free consult. And that's just one workflow. So as you get 10, 20 workflows and 10, 20 agents, you can see how many hours of time you're saving. And that's where the real leverage happens. So that's the agent boss level. Level 3 of professional evolution is where you become this strategist and this leader in AI. This is where you've understood how AI fits into your organization, to your products and services, to your way of working. And you can envision new products and services and create AI forward strategies. It doesn't mean you have to be the CEO of your company. In whatever department you're in, every organization needs people who are these leaders and able to reimagine that role, that type of work that you're doing. So it makes you highly valuable and sought after if you can get to this level. And level 4 is where you now understand where this is going. So you can see how AI is transforming your industry, your company, and your career. And so now you know how to position yourself for success. The world of work is transforming. And the way that we currently work and what makes us valuable right now is not going to be the same thing 1, 2, 3, 4 years from now. Exactly what it's going to look like is hard for everyone to figure out. But if you can get to level 4, you can start to see it, and you can make good decisions and pivot and learn the skills and stay relevant as you move forward. So this is a critical stage. If you're not at stage 4, you're really not in control of your future. You don't know where this is going, and you don't know how to position yourself for success or even safety. So this is my mission, is to help people get to level 4 so that they future-proof their career, they've got a viable future, and they don't get into a pickle where they started to run out of value. Okay, so those were the 4 stages of professional evolution. Now, before we look at the system, let's talk about the 5 ways that normal people can use AI. So not software developers, but people like you and me. So I'll just rattle them off and then we'll go into them one by one. So AI assistants, chatbots, this is ChatGPT and Claude and how we're currently using copilots. This is like the things that are in software apps that we use. So Microsoft Copilot, you're using Microsoft Word and there's that little sidebar with Copilot and it'll help you with whatever app you're working with. The next one is projects and custom GPTs, which we were just talking about. So these are the things that allow you to start to create teammates. The next one is that agents and automations, where you're building these things that operate independently and do work for you. And the last one is software and apps. You can now create your own custom software and apps. I'll give you an example of that in a second. This was just not possible even like a year ago. But now you can create quite elaborate apps that you can use internally. And then it's a bit of a leap to create something that's external facing, customer facing, but it is doable. But that's more of an advanced one. But for internal apps, you can whip these things off in a matter of 15 minutes to an hour kind of thing. Okay. So let's take a look at these five in a little more depth. AI assistants. So this is just ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, Claude. These are the tools that you're probably super familiar with. What's special about these is they're becoming extremely versatile. There's a lot that you can do with them. You can do deep research, you can create images, you can do data analysis. Yeah, they're really quite amazing. But what's limiting about them is you have to do all the work yourself. You're there chugging away. Okay, copilots. These are the things that exist within software that we are accustomed to using. So within the Microsoft Office suite, within the Google Workspace, within Notion, if you use Notion, here's the Copilot. So here's like Lululemon newsletter for the fall, and someone could have their Copilot here, and you can have it look up your database of products and it talks about the best of our fall products for this type of activity and this type of weather or something like that. Give you a real quick example of this. Here's Gemini within this Google Sheets. And so we could do something like, let's say I'm doing a trip to New York and I want an expense spreadsheet. I can just tell it, create an expense spreadsheet. I'm taking a trip to New York and I want to track my expenses. So just create whatever columns are needed to do that. And for the date column, make it a date picker. So we'll just give it a sec to do that. And there it is. Just like that, you've got something generated and it's even created the date picker here. And then you can just, if it's not exactly what you want, you just speak to it and tell it the changes you want and it does it. So that's becoming extremely common now, is to have these copilots showing up in all the common software that we use. Okay, the next one is these projects and custom GPTs. This is really powerful to do this. It really evolves your abilities with AI, mostly because you can give it system instructions. You can tell it exactly how it should do certain tasks and what type of knowledge it should have. It produces much higher quality work. So if you've ever had that trouble where you're working with ChatGPT and it's producing generic results, or just it's really hard to get it to do something, this is the important step that you take, is moving into using projects and custom GPTs. And I'll give you an example. Here's a custom GPT that I created. I really like the way that Chris Guillebeau writes his blogs. And what I did is I went and found 10 of his blogs and I gave it that to ChatGPT and I said, okay, I want you to analyze and create a writing style based on these 10 blogs. And then I used another tool to create the system instructions for this Chris Guillebeau blog writer. And now what I can do is I can just rattle off all this kind of stuff I want to share in my blog. And then I don't have to get the wording right or make it sound great in terms of the grammar and the style of the phrasing. I just get everything out of my head, and then I give it to my Chris Guillebeau blog writer, and it cleans it up, edits it, and makes it in his engaging style. And I've got a really engaging blog post. So that's how you can whip up these custom GPTs to really enhance your work. Okay, the fourth one is creating agents and automations. And like I said before, this is extremely powerful. This is where you get 10x, 100x on your investment of time to get it to do these kind of things. What's special about them is you create them once and then they do part of your job forever. And if they're doing things that took you an hour or 3 hours to do, that's massive. You start to get a huge amount of time back. This is the one that I was describing to you, where a free consult gets booked. It researches the company and produces the executive brief for me. So by the way, this took me a half hour to create this from start to finish. So 30 minutes of investment, and it saves me an hour every time someone books a free consult. Here's a different type of agent. This is N8N. It looks a little intimidating at first, but it's really not. It's a drag and drop interface where you can drop in. This is actually the same automation that we were just looking at. So when this form gets submitted for a free consult, it uses OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, as the brain. And there's instructions in here for how to create the executive brief. It uses Firecrawl to scrape the website to get the information from that URL and then sends me an email. So pretty simple to do. And it used to be a year ago that you had to learn N8N and figure out how to do this. Now there's a chatbot built into N8N that you can tell it exactly what you want, just in natural language, and it'll actually create this whole thing for you. And that's why I'm saying that these are all things that normal people can use. It's no longer a barrier to entry to be able to create these types of automations. There's no reason why you can't create them yourself in a matter of less than an hour kind of thing. All right, and the fifth one is software, creating your own apps. So Lovable, Replit, Google AI Studio. You can create your own apps in minutes. And I'll show you an example of one that I created recently that I really liked. I can give it an image. So like this. So imagine you're a product company and you want to have product images that you could share on social media in all different locations. So I could do something like this where I can say, put this coffee cup on an outside table in an exotic French cafe. And I'll do a couple more. Put this coffee cup on a kid's play table with toys and stuffies around. Put this coffee cup on a raft made out of pool noodles, and the raft should be floating in a pool. All right, and then generate. And this it took me about an hour from start to finish, from the time I thought it up to I went and found this style of interface. And then I created it in Google AI Studio. And then I deployed it right there within Google AI Studio onto the Google Cloud servers. And it's practically free to run. It costs me pennies every time it runs. And there it is. Yeah. Just incredible the kind of output it can generate and just so quick and easy. So that's what I want you to know from this is you can create your own software for doing internal stuff. And yeah, you just don't have to be hiring a software developer for all this kind of stuff. And when you can generate your own apps, again, it just makes you a much more competent, enhanced, capable of doing just new things. It allows you to think of new products, new services, new ways of working that you just couldn't do before. So that's kind of the evolution that you go through as you start to use some of these things. All right, let's go back to the agenda. Okay, we talked about the 6 levels of AI literacy, the 4 stages, and now the 5 ways normal people can use AI. Let's now talk about the system that makes learning these AI skills and creating AI agents and doing great work with AI much, much easier. So this system is not about the technology. It's not about the system itself. It's about making AI easy to learn and use, allowing you to grow as you move through these stages. So the system makes learning and using AI simple and grows as you do. It's as simple as that. So the first thing a great system must do is it must reduce the friction involved in using AI. If you're trying to cook and your fridge is down the hall and your stove is in the garage, you're not going to want to cook and you're not going to use that kitchen. You're not going to use that system. So a great system must make it super easy. It must be kind of like this with your fridge over here and your stove over here and your sous chefs behind you and your recipe on the computer. Now it's just you want to sit down and or make some food. So easy, so effortless. You can do it without stress. So the 4 ways, the top ways to reduce friction is first just having some keyboard shortcuts to your chat so that whenever you want to use AI, it's super, super quick, and having AI dictation. There's some free AI dictation. There's Super Whisper, which is free. There's Whisper Flow, which is what I use. And so what this looks like is now if I want to use, I'm working away and anytime I want to use AI, I just click my keyboard shortcut, another keyboard shortcut to start chatting. And then that quick, within 1.5 seconds, I'm chatting with AI and getting it to do things for me. That's the first 2. The next one is dual monitors, because as you are using AI, you're going to have these digital people essentially in these chat windows. If you only have one monitor and you're having to close and move and shuffle everything, it gets overwhelming. You need to be able to have six windows open at the same time. So I highly recommend getting dual monitors. So those are like the super low hanging fruit that makes it much easier to get using AI. And then the fourth one is an actual AI operating system, which is what we're talking about here, a way of keeping everything organized in one place. The next thing that an AI operating system should do is make learning AI easy. Learning the fundamentals, guides, whenever you discover great videos or little courses out in the world, you've got a place that you can store them and reference them and find them again. So that when you go to use AI, yeah, you've got your guides, you've got your learning resources right there. The next thing it should do is if you're in an organization, make it really easy to know what are the learning resources that are available to me. So this is more for if you're working in a company rather than working as an individual. Next thing this system must do is make finding the tools super easy. Again, as you start to collect all these different things, it gets overwhelming if they're in bookmarks and in folders and who knows where. Yeah, you want to have them all super easy to find and the right tools. The next thing it should do is make creating these custom GPTs and these projects, these assistants, super easy. So you should have instructions and tools for creating these assistants. The next thing it needs to do is make productivity easy. You've got your guides, you've got your assistants all in one place that you can easily access and use. The next thing is making doing AI enhanced projects easy. So as you start to build your own custom GPTs or projects or workflows or agents, again, it gets overwhelming. You start getting too many of these agents and which ones for which and where do I find them? And if I want to edit them as the underlying AI models change and that causes an agent to break or changes its behavior in a way that you need to adjust it or you want to improve it, you need to have a place where you can keep track of that. So having one place to have all these project files where you can easily keep your system instructions and the details about what you built and why you built it and how to use it and whatever context files and a link to it, it gets very overwhelming very quickly unless you have these kind of things organized in one place. And that ties into the last one, which is it keeps everything organized in one place. You've got your projects, your prompts, your context files, your tools, your assistants, everything's organized and simple and easy to find. And so it looks like this. Let's actually take a look at it right here too. It can look a little overwhelming when you're seeing it for the first time, but this is the kind of system that is essential in order to make progress with AI. You're constantly learning, you're trying new things, you're collecting prompts and tips and tricks, and you're watching videos, and then you're trying new things, and then you're having successes, and then you're creating some projects and some custom GPTs, and then you create your first software, and then you create your first agent, your first workflow. You're moving up these levels. If you don't have a system like this, it's really hard to make any progress. So having a system like this is essential to go along with the learning and the experimenting and getting to that level where you are becoming an AI enhanced professional. All right, so that is the AI operating system. So yeah, I built this in Notion and I'll send you a screenshot of it so that if you want to build your own, you've got this to look at as the different aspects of it. So how I help in this whole process, if you are somebody that you know would like support in leveling up, is I help people get set up with a personalized AI operating system. I help them go to AI literacy level 6 within a couple months rather than years or not getting there at all, really getting stuck at all the different levels. I help people really accelerate through the levels, helping them become an AI enhanced professional and really becoming somebody who's highly in demand. That's really why I'm doing this. I'm not an AI enthusiast. I'm actually more of a strategist and a builder and an engineer at heart. I really love helping people get to points where they've got freedom and success. So that's what I do. So essentially helping you make this transition from here to here. And that means helping you move up these levels. So not staying stuck here, not staying stuck here, but moving up in these levels. Yeah. And the way I do that, I do it for teams in companies through my AI accelerator for teams. And for individuals, it's more of a coaching one-on-one. All right, so there we are. We've talked about the 6 levels of AI literacy. and the importance of moving up those levels steadily. The four stages of professional evolution that are so important that make you valuable and set you up for a really successful in-demand career. And then the five ways normal people can use AI and how to put them all together into this AI operating system, which makes it so much easier to evolve through these levels, not get overwhelmed, and just become more and more productive as you move along. All right. Anything else you want to talk about today? Good. I'm glad it was useful. I'll send you the replay from today so you've got it. If you or anyone else you want to share it with wants to work with me, that's great. And if not, that's 100% cool too. I hope that you really do well with your masters and with this new agency that you want to create. Thanks for coming. We'll talk to you later.